So under the flat rate system, you are paid by flagged time. So what does flag time mean? Let's say I get dispatched a repair order for this Nissan Skyline, front brake pads and rotors on this Nissan Skyline. And that job has a flagged book time of 1 hour. And we'll go into some scenarios about how that 1 hour could go right here. And majority of the time it does not work the good way. And here's an example. I get this car, it has wheel lock key. Can't find the wheel lock key. So now here's where I burn time. I look in the car, can't find it. Talk to the service advisor, hey, does the customer have the wheel lock key? I can't find it in the car. Of course, I get talk back from him, right? Like, what do you mean you can't find it? Are you stupid? Did you look in the glove box? Did you look in the trunk? And here I am already burning time, getting disrespected by someone in the shop, or I should say the service advisor. And I have to explain, no, I looked through the car and I can't find it. Now he's got to call the customer. Hopefully the customer will tell us, yeah, it's in this secret cubby, right? And then, yeah, now I can finally take the wheels off and do what I was supposed to do in the first place, right? Do the brakes. All this time, if you can imagine, half an hour may have elapsed. I am doing my job, but I do not get paid for that half an hour. Again, commission with no base pay. Let's give another example. The rotor is seized onto the hub because it's rusty, right? So I do the right thing. I spray PB blaster, I heat up the rotor, I use a puller that's going to properly separate the rotor from the hub without damaging the wheel bearing or anything else. And I may have burned an hour because the rotor was rusted onto the hub. Who pays for that hour? And realistically, the customer should pay, right? Like, hey, I need extra labor time because there was this unforeseen issue with the car that already existed. In reality, what happens is you eat the time. And usually a tech doesn't want to go to the service advisor because the service advisor will say like, hey, your coworker wouldn't have asked me this. He would have just taken off the rotor. Or like, no, it wasn't that hard to take off. You're just being selfish and asking for more time. Or, you know, another excuse is like, I can't call the customer for that. They're gonna completely decline and they're never gonna come back. So I ate an hour. So now, you know, let's just say I only had to fight one of the rotors. A job that only pays book time 1 hour, I have spent 2 hours on this job. What does that mean? So I've worked 2 hours, but I only get paid my 1 hour hourly wage. Long story short, as a dealer technician, you almost always lose under the flat rate system. Pretty much you can play flat rate two ways. You can be as efficient as possible in order to get as much flagged, book time as possible, or the unfortunately more common way, be dumb and dishonest. How do you be dumb and dishonest? Here's a way to be dumb and win in the flat rate world as a tech. We would have cars under warranty with a Bluetooth concern all the time. 99% of the time it's because the customer doesn't want to read the owner's manual and figure out how the Bluetooth works in their vehicle. Basically how to pair the phone and play songs, whatever. Instead, they bring it to the dealership and say something's wrong. If I get this work order, I already know that the customer doesn't know how to use this Bluetooth. I verify that my phone pairs and can play music and can make calls. I've literally now wasted about half an hour total. Go grab the vehicle from the parking lot, bring it into my stall, hook up my phone, verify everything, write my story in the computer, tell the service advisor, drop the car off at car wash. You can see a half an hour could obviously elapse. I remember back in the day, I got paid $0 an hour to verify because under a lot of manufacturers, you do not get paid diagnostic time. All you get paid is the repair time. So if I diagnosed that there was no concern, how do I get paid? I don't. And so what would usually happen? How do you play dumb to get out of doing these sort of concerns? Here's a few ways. I worked with an old man who would be like, Bluetooth? My tooth is blue? And he would pretty much play dumb to get out of any of these like new technology concerns. Like once you heard that from him, you'd be like, man, I'm not giving it to Mike. Yeah, Mike's obviously not the one for this. But he got out of basically losing half an hour of pay. I mean, under the flat rate system, he could actually be getting a brake job and, in that half an hour making an extra, could be making even more money beyond that half an hour instead of this Bluetooth concern that he would accurately spend his time diagnosing but get paid $0 an hour for. Dishonesty, more rampant than you would think. I have not been at the dealer in a long time, but I can only imagine it's getting worse. Again, under the flat rate system, you are paid by how fast you do a job, not how well you do it. No incentive to do quality work. Rushing out a job and cutting corners is rewarded. And I'll just give you a minor example. So I used to work with a tech who, I know on 1 year of Subaru Legacy, it was kind of annoying to take out this cabin filter. It'd be under the dash. You'd have to crawl under there. There'd be these like 12 annoying clips to take out and put back in to put the cabin filter in. It was an annoyance, but you'd be like, oh, whatever, this is the Legacy that's like sucks to put the filter in. How do you save time on that? When you get the cabin filter from the parts department, you throw it in the garbage. Yeah, no joke, it happens all the time. Throttle body cleanings, I remember my first day at one dealership, one of the techs was like, you see how I do a throttle body cleaning? He took the throttle body cleaner and he put it in his toolbox. And that's exactly how you perform a throttle body cleaning. And unfortunately, this is what happens under the flat rate system. The faster you do a job, the more you get paid. And then if you can flag more hours, like let's say you make a lot of hours per week, you are rewarded from management, right? Because, you know, look, working an 8-hour week, Mike can flag 100 hours of labor time. Ezekiel, how come you can only flag 76 when you've worked 80 hours? I don't know, man, maybe because Mike's throwing away cabin filters instead of putting them in and has a stash of brake clean and throttle body cleaner in his toolbox when I'm actually doing the job. Yeah, you know, you spend the extra time, you know, working with customers, doing the job correctly. Let me get this a little bit cleaner. Let me verify my repair, road test after I do a repair, wash off the car for the customer, make sure the car is clean. I don't get paid for any of that stuff. So under the flat rate system, why should I do it? And so as you can see, you know, under that paid scale, unfortunately, you are rewarded for playing dumb, being dishonest, and then the third one that's not written in my script is being a kiss ass. There are work orders that are simple work but pay very well. What are some examples? For example, brakes is a relatively straightforward job. I can do front brake pads and rotors in less than the hour I'm given. There's some other jobs like major services like 30, 60, 90K, which is typically good money for a technician, especially if you're being dishonest, right? You're throwing all the fluids in your toolbox or in the trash can. So if I am a kiss ass and I kiss ass to whoever dispatches the work, or, you know, I say like, hey, I'm Ricardo, I heard you like to eat steak, right? Let me buy you a steak for lunch. And let me buy you a steak for lunch every single week. You know what I'm saying? Dude, it happens more often than you think. Something unspoken that unfortunately, hard for me to talk about, but definitely like a race issue at the dealer, right? Like if your group of coworkers are a bunch of good old boys, they're a bunch of Asian people, unfortunately, you kind of look out for your own. And, you know, if you see all the Asian people in the shop getting the gravy work, right? So the gravy work being the work that is simple but pays well. That's kind of how things go in a lot of dealerships.